I don't want it to come across bad. I'm not saying that they're always saying the exact same thing, but it always says the same thing, right? Like they're doing improvements on matchmaking. I have no doubts they're doing improvements on matchmaking. I just like there's no point in me actually repeating what they say. So okay, basically they're trying to improve the matchmaking as we go. They're testing out more and more and seeing what works, what doesn't, and hopefully that's gonna like affect the team, like the queue times better in the future. The monster experience. Last we shared, we were in various stages of testing out. Plans change. Why do I stop there? Last we shared, we were in various stages of testing out plan changes to the monster gameplay experience. We were thrilled with the feedback we received after sharing those, and we'll continue working on ways to improve the monster gameplay experience without negatively impacting the teen experience. The following quality of life and balance updates to the monster role will be implemented with the Escape the how do you say that? Eviscerator. Bounty system. The dynamic bounty system that was discussed in our previous notes is still in development, but we've seen a lot of wonderful feedback on how to improve this feature in the meantime. As such, we will be implementing a flux reward in place of the XP when a bounty is in place. Okay, I kind of like that. Yeah, because like, honestly, experience only matters until you level up the monster, and then you really don't have any benefits whatsoever. Like if you get to level 95 with a monster and you still want to play them, you don't really have any benefits from it. I don't know how much flux you get from playing a single round, like how many, like it probably depends on how many points you get. I would say like probably 10k points on monster equals to like 10 flux or so. Which seems like a fair deal. Okay, vending machines, new monster interaction. Monsters are now able to hit powered vending machines with their basic attack to temporarily sabotage them. Once sabotaged, the vending machines cannot be interacted with by teens. 60 seconds afterwards, a random vending machine of the same time will be chosen to power on again. Sabotaging vending machines will also grant the monster a small number of dominance points. I feel like this is okay. I think there's gonna have to be some testing as to what's gonna actually work, because, you know, like it's super easy for the monster just to go around the map and like whenever they see a vending machine just slap, because it doesn't really do much for them, you know? It doesn't really take a lot of time to do it, you know, it's like one basic attack. Maybe they will have to lower down the amount of like how long it's gonna be before that respawns somewhere else on the map, or maybe it won't matter because teens don't really go looking around the map like for vending machines all the time, so 60 seconds might be okay. I feel like it's only time will tell, you know, that's kind of one of those changes where you can't know until people play for a while and see how it works. I do like it, generally I do. I think monsters should be able to like prevent teens from getting consumables. Okay, plague system changes. Plagues will be a core mechanic of all monsters rather than only accessible via prizes. Whenever a monster does not have a plague equipped, they will make progress towards earning a new plague by hitting teens. After a certain number of hits, monsters can press the use plague button to fetch a random plague from a tier in the beyond to be used at a later time. As we mentioned last time, plagues may be adjusted to ensure they are balanced when this change is implemented. Same thing, you know, there's gonna take some time to get adjusted to see what works, what doesn't. Maybe if they put it at 10 hits at first, it might be like a bit too little. Maybe they change it to 8 or whatever, like we'll see what time like says. However, I don't like the idea of plagues always being random, because like when it's random in the game, it will help accordingly to how much you need a certain plague. Like if you get a randomly bad plague, it will not have any effect at all. If you get a really good one, it might be too powerful. I don't know. I would rather maybe make it like more hits, but you can choose which plague you can take. That's just my opinion though. There we go. New status effect, Busted. The Busted status effect will be added to the game. An injured teen with the Busted status can no longer be healed by other teens, nor can they use the medkit stations to heal themselves. The Unpowered Sacred Staff can overcome this affliction and heal Busted teens as normal. Busted status has a unique appearance on the player card when a teen is injured, and the pools of chroma left by the teen will be uniquely colored. This status will persist even if a teen is resurrected by the Book of the Dead. Do you guys think a teen that is busted should have a different sound as well? Like maybe probably not, it would be a bit too much. Anyway, so you're not still dead on, hey, you can still use chompies to survive, I guess. I would make a teen one-shot killable, like they're immediately dead after they're busted, if they get slapped, but so they can heal themselves in any scenario. I feel like they're just overall better, because this way you're nerfing staff. Like monsters will be guarding holy stations even more, and on top of that, like you not being able to play if the monster does, like if you're injured constantly, you know, you can't hide if the monster comes directly to your station accidentally, and you can't hide, like you're injured, they're gonna hear you, whatever. So not being able to heal is just a bit too much for me, so I would definitely like change it in a way where it works like you can heal yourselves, but even if you're healed, you're gonna be still dead on hit. And there should be like some sort of a visual cue or whatever when you're busted. 6 hits is a lot though. Yeah, I agree, but you're still not dead, right? It doesn't fix the issue of, you know, you being able to spam chompies. And on top of that, you will constantly be a nuisance to your team, I feel like, because if you go to a certain spot and you're next to somebody who's trying to hide with a weapon, they will know where you are because you can get healed. You can with a staff, but again, that's just gonna be nerfing the holy stations indirectly. So I feel like it would just work better if the team who was hit 6 times would be dead on hit, right? Because that would prevent people from, you know, constantly body blocking or going into the monster or taking risky plays. They would be very, very careful because now 6 hits means death. You know, 7 hits technically. Yeah, but if you're eating 6 hits, you kind of deserve it. I agree, as I said, I just think you should be dead on hit after that point, like not being able to use chompies, no matter what, but you should be able to heal so you can still play the game. And like, you know, I feel like it's a second chance, right, kind of thing. You get to the point where you're busted, yes, you're gonna like die if you get slapped, but you can play well, you can play sneaky, you can play safe. However, I see how this could also be a problem, the change that I'm like talking about, because then teams would play, you know, like little bitches. I have to phrase it like that. Like you'd see teammates in solo queue who would get busted and just get healed and just run off to the edge of the map and not play the game because, you know, next hit means death. They would play overly safe. I've seen that problem in other games. Maybe there is a fix in between. I don't know. If anybody has any ideas, just let me know. Anyway, okay, so the store, basically, to sum it up, store will not be overlapping as often. Okay. Escape the oh, Jesus, what is wrong with me, dude? Like, I'm 100% sure. I promise you I knew how to say this word, like, until today. Escape the Eviscerator. We're so excited to tell you more about our next release. Keeping this on the down low was no easy feat, but we're absolutely stoked to have the chance to dive into what this update entails. To set expectations, Reggie will not be released with Deathwire. I know a lot of people actually talked about this and they're like, he shouldn't be released with Deathwire because, you know, to push people to play monster. But what do you think will happen once they do release Reggie? Like more and more, like we're gonna run into the same issue again. Like if you released everything together, I mean, I get it. Short term, this does fix the issue because everybody's gonna be jumping on Deathwire. There's gonna be a lot of team players, a lot of monster players, and the queue time should instantly be better. But what once you release Reggie and everybody already got used to Deathwire? It's just gonna amplify the issue that we had. So I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but isn't that worse? Max level teams versus level 1 Deathwire? I mean, look, your skill as a monster player isn't necessarily connected with the monster mutations, right? Like if you're a good monster, you're a good monster. Like if you're a really cracked ward, it doesn't matter if you usually run kinetic and fluid or whatever. You should be able to like do really well on your base kit. But I get what you mean, because nobody played the Deathwire. You can't obviously be really cracked with him. You still have to get used to his powers, abilities, how to use them, like in what situations. It takes practice, it takes experience. So I definitely 100% agree with what you're saying. It's not gonna be okay, but like what can you do, right? Swapping our planned characters release was a strategic decision that ties into our continued effort to improve the overall matchmaking health. We hope that by pushing the release of Reggie to a later date, releasing Deathwire first and implementing some of the aforementioned monster changes would have a positive impact on the overall player experience. I mean, yeah, I kind of get it. As I said, the main reason is this, you know, a strategy from Hellbent to push more people onto Monster, but I'm kind of afraid of what's gonna happen once Reggie is released. I guess short term is a good decision, long term I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay, we know the new map, the Eviscerator. With the release of Escape, the Eviscerator comes our newest map. This one is vastly different than our other maps aesthetically and will be available for all players. We're so pumped to see how players interact with in-game both Festine and Monster. I'm super excited. Honestly, this is like gonna be my favorite thing about the whole update. I always loved new maps in every game that I played. It's just super exciting moment every time, and I've seen, like, we've all seen the Eviscerator map fly through. If you haven't, I can give you the link if you want to watch it, but you can just go to YouTube Hellbent Games and watch it. It looks super sick. I think it definitely looks like new, and I think it's gonna we'll see if it's gonna be a well-balanced map. That is like always the biggest issue with maps, you know, like which side is it leaning more towards, you know, like which side will benefit from it more. Okay, Deathwire. We obviously have all the power. You know what? Like, I'll just go for the powers and mutations. Okay, power Death Drift, which is his first offensive ability. I mean, you know how Master is always split between offensive, defensive, and locating abilities. So power, the first power is Death Drift. While in assault mode, focusing for 1.2 seconds will switch Deathwire to drift mode. Drift mode increases Deathwire's movement speed by 20%. While in drift mode, attacking or using Death Drift for 0.66 seconds will switch the Deathwire back to assault mode. Deathfire Drift cannot be used for 2 seconds after hitting a teen. Deathfire Drift cannot be used to change modes while in the banished state. So, from what I also got, you can't hit teens while you're using your drift mode. So you have to like plan ahead. I assume that you're gonna have to plan ahead like when to switch between assault, like not assault, but drift mode and assault mode to be able to hit a teen. Which is gonna be like a really good, like nice spicy thing about the game, because it also gives the teen a moment to outplay the monster, you know? It's just gonna be like every single power that the Deathwire has, it kind of like entitles this is gonna be a skillful monster, you know? It's gonna take like a lot of practice and experience to actually get him right. Okay, so the first mutation is called Nitro Booster. After switching into drift mode, you will move an additional 160% faster for 1.4 seconds. The time drift can be used for after hitting a teen is increased to 10 seconds, which I think is a huge downside. We'll see how that goes. I think Nitro Booster might. I still don't know how overall he's gonna be like how he's gonna look in the game and how all of his powers combined will be like gameplay wise. But I feel like this one might need a slight buff. At least like the downside is huge. Okay, second one, Mutation Homie Cycle. Homie. Let's go. I don't think that's how it's pronounced, but that's how I'm gonna pronounce it. So, it decreases the focusing time required to enter drift mode by 40%. The movement speed bonus provided by drift mode is reduced by 25%. I think this is a good one. Like, you know, it has a good downside, it has a good upside, so it just changes how it works. I don't know. I feel like I don't think you're gonna be abusing Death Drift as much as you think. Like, this is... I think Homie Cycle is gonna be a thing that focuses more on fast pushes, right? Like let's say when you get a hit on teen and you try to close in on them, I feel like this can like actually help a bit. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Mutation Overdriver. While in drift mode, your voltage vice cooldown recovers 50% faster, while in assault mode, your voltage vice cooldown recovers 50% slower. Voltage vice being his second power. So, okay, let's just jump into that one. Booster might be good using it right after shocking a teen. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be more of an oppressive ability. You know, like, if you're more of a type to go... Like, it's definitely a huge downside if you need to, like, scout through the map fast. And, like, you know, get to places, like, check the stations, whatever. But when you're actually trying to push teens, pressure them, like, I think that can be, like, a huge mutation. It's just more of an offensive one, if that makes sense. Plus, the downside is not as big as you think. 25%, the movement speed bonus provided by the drift mode is reduced by 25%, which is not that much, considering that his drift mode increases Deathwire's movement speed by 20%. If you take off 25% of that, that means it's 15%. So let's say your movement speed is 5.0 in the beginning, and then you get 20% on top of that, which means it's gonna be 60, and instead of 6.0, and if you use Homie Cycle, 25% off, it's gonna be 5.75. So it's not a huge difference. Oh shit, yeah, I forgot about the videos. Okay, let me show you the video of the power drift. I feel like I'm all over the place, don't judge. Okay, so this is what Death Drift looks like. I think it's so cool. I don't know how this stuff on the screen will affect you. Why is it so laggy though? I don't know how this will affect your focus. I really hope it will not. Like, you can probably just get used to it. I think it looks really cool from the monster's POV. I can't wait to see it from the teen's POV. Second power, Voltage Vise. After focusing for 0.85 seconds, Deathwire will fire an energy pulse in a cone out to 18 meters that will afflict all active teens within the area with shocked for 2.7. Oh, with shocked. Okay, shocked is his status. Okay, I was like it was super confusing to read. I think it was a misspell at first. With shocked for 2.6 seconds and overcharged for 7 seconds. Voltage Vice has a cooldown of 15 seconds and cannot be used for 7 after hitting a teen. Okay, but you can store 2 from what I remember. Sebral, thank you for the follow, appreciate it, welcome in. During shock status, teams will be slowed and unable to perform most actions. During overcharge status, teams cannot be affected by another voltage vice. If being shocked, like 2.6 seconds is gonna be enough to close in on the teen? Because like, first of all, it's not that like, you can affect them from 18 meters away. Like if you're shocked, yeah, they will be slowed, I get that. But like, okay, I mean, they will be slow, depending on how big the slow is. That's gonna affect if the 2.6 seconds is enough or not in most situations. I feel like the more skill you have, the better it will be, because this is definitely a skillful ability. During overcharge status, teens cannot be affected by another voltage vice, so 7 seconds until you can get shocked again. Up to 2 uses of voltage vice can be stored. Voltage vice cannot be used while in drift mode. So let's see how that looks, and then I'm gonna go through mutations. I mean, I've seen it myself, it looks really cool. And I love the fact that you can shoot it through walls. Like... Okay, so you've seen like what the overcharge looks like? That is super cool, dude. Bruh, super fun. Death Stream seems so slow, by the way. I don't know, you're still way faster than a monster normally moves, and it doesn't have a cooldown. You can use it whenever, like it's a toggle off, toggle on kind of ability. We'll have to see, to be honest. I feel like his overall kit seems weak right now because it requires a lot of skill, but probably once you combine it, like all your experience knowledge that you gain from playing Deathwire, and like use all those abilities together, he's probably gonna be really strong. Mutation, sensor spike. While teens are shocked, they will also be exposed. The activation time of voltage vice increased by 45%. Whoa, that's a good downside, but you know, considering that they will be exposed, I don't know, like, I think I'm not gonna be using this. I think this is a good starting perk, starting mutation. Newbie monster players tend to not have as good tracking knowledge, or like, just, they don't tend to be able to find this because, like, you know, they don't know the maps too well, they don't know how to track the sound too well. It takes a while to get used to the VHS sound. This can be really good for the start, you know, like when you can see the teen's aura, so they wouldn't go behind a corner or whatever, like mess with you. But later on, once you know the sound and like their movement, like I feel like not being able to track where they went without seeing their aura once you hear them, like, because they do produce a noise once they get hit with it, plus that, plus the footsteps, I think you're in trouble. I don't think sensor spike is gonna be like a good long-term mutation. It's just a good beginner mutation. Second one, mutation circuit breaker. When teens are shocked, they will also become jammed for 20 seconds. The overcharge status lasts an additional 1.5 seconds. I think this is actually pretty cool, in a sense that if you're chasing one teen and you know another one is on a station nearby, you can shock the station and keep on chasing this teen. This way you can prevent them from getting a quick weapon, you know? I think it could be cool. It's high risk, high reward, I would say, because like this is not something you're gonna be able to use all the time. Plus, not only that, but like, you know, jam status affects the healing, the picking up, everything. It is very situational, but always take into account that jam is not only for crafting. Chaos Coil. You may now store up to 3 uses of Voltage Vice at a time. Voltage Vice no longer affects unarmed teens. I like that. I actually like that a lot. I think that's something that I would be running. And last power, Beam and Matrix. After focusing for 1.2 seconds, Deathwire will sweep a targeted area with a sensor beam. All active teens within the beam will be exposed for 3 seconds. So it's not like in a cone, it's just like... Oh, it's a targeted area. Okay, so it is like a cone. Beam and Matrix has a cooldown of 22 seconds and cannot be used for 10 seconds after hitting a teen. Which is kind of fair considering that it does expose them. There's a second thing you can use in your kit to expose teens, by the way. That's really cool. Which prevents him... That is what we were talking about, being, you know, anti-ambush monster. Let's see what it looks like before we jump in any further. I'm still wondering how west of a area does that, you know, like how big the cone is, or is it just that little, like, the time that armed teens are exposed by beam matrix is increased by 30%, the time that unarmed teens are exposed by beam matrix is reduced by 30%. Oh, this is definitely gonna need a nerf. You know why? Because it's not a fair trade-off. If there's anything we learned by playing VHS, is that the teens armed teens, I don't know how to even explain it, but like unarmed teens are useless in almost every possible way other than picking up and healing. And even then, they're easy targets, right? Like if you find an armed teen and an unarmed teen, and they split up, you can just go for an unarmed. Well, like zero risk for you to go for the team that doesn't have a weapon. So they're more of a liability than anything else. Like you just want to have them on the side of the map crafting a weapon. So you don't really care about them all that much. If you can keep your eye on the person who has a weapon while chasing the unarmed teen, I feel like that's definitely crucial. So I think like maybe 30% longer for the armed teens and 50% shorter for unarmed teens would be a good trade-off. Augmented optics. The area scanned by beam metrics is increased by 30%. The activation time of beam metrics is increased by 30%. I feel like this could be okay, depending on what the initial one is, right? We still don't know how much the initial one affects. Like, we don't know the exact radius, we don't know how wide it spreads, we don't know anything. Mutation Terror Tracer. In drift mode, your movement speed when activating beam metrics is increased by 250%. In assault mode, your movement speed when activating beam metrics is reduced by 80%. This will depend. Depends on which, like, if you spam drift mode, then sure. But if you're constantly in assault mode, I don't know. It will once again depend on how he progresses as a monster, you know? Like, the way the people play him. Because there's always going to be a meta to playing a certain monster, you know? Bad for checking station crafting globally, though. I mean, there's always going to be, like, a downside of that sort. You gotta understand it. If it exposes the team, like, it shows you their aura, actually, like, wall hacks, in that case, I feel like that's fair, you know? Like, if he could see wall hacks throughout the whole map, that wouldn't be okay. Because then he can just ditch the person he's currently chasing with a weapon and go for 3 other people that are on stations, because he can now see them. Like, he doesn't have to guess as worth, you know, if the person left or not. He would be able to, like, just go there and, like, follow them with it. Like, even if the wall hacks last for like 3 seconds, that's fairly enough, you know. This is gonna be okay. I'm kind of worried about beam matrix just because I'm not sure how, as I said, I don't know like how big of a cone it is, how big of a area, like how far away from you does it affect. We didn't get those kind of details, and that's definitely something I would like to see for myself. I mean, it's probably just gonna take time. Honestly, Deathwire, same as any other monster. Like, even in beta, I can remember, like, in beta, it was very, very clear in the beginning that whoever knew how to play Dollmaster would win almost every single game. Because, first of all, teams didn't know how to counter Dollmaster. They didn't play safe playing against him. They didn't get accustomed to weapons. Obviously, we're not gonna have that last issue, but still, you know, once Deathwire releases, if the monsters realize how to play him before teams realize how to counter him, he might seem strong in like at the very start. But just give it a bit of time, you know, like give it a month or 2, and then we will see where he stands, you know, where he's standing amongst the other monster he is, because he might actually prove to be very weak or very strong. You just, you know, time will tell. Anyway, that is all the changes we're gonna be getting. I'm thinking they're not gonna be blue balling us for much longer, so probably sometime next week. RIP grapple hook theory though. That was a good concept though. I like the grapple hook theory. Do you guys think the ghost is gonna be the next one? You know, from Spectral Collectors, what Founders make?